we want to block signals whenever there's a doji bar. That's basically what Ramesh's question is. Let's go to a 5 range chart, and that ought to produce a lot of dojis. A couple of dojis marked right there. All right, so I have the MACD on my chart, and I'll use the MACD to produce an output here. I wouldn't call them signals, but just an output. So let's see, I'll use the threshold solver. And there we go. Let's put the MACD in here. All right, so I'm just gonna check if the MACD is above or below the 0 line, just so I have some kind of output to work with here. All right, just gonna select the MACD. There's the MACD line. And let's turn on the outputs for the threshold solver. Okay, so there you go. So now I have an output to work with, right? So it's pretty simple. If the MACD is above the 0 line, I have a long output. All right, if the MACD is below 0, I have a short output. So now what we'll do is we'll work on blocking the output when there's a doji bar. So the first thing we're going to need is a AND node, like so. All right. And so there's a bunch of ways to do this. It all depends on the context here, Ramesh, of what your system needs here. So so basically, whenever you're building a system, the solution, what solvers you use and everything, always depends on the details of your system here. So I'll show kind of a couple of ways that we could detect dojis and block them here. So the simplest way is to use a bar direction solver. So if I connect in the bar direction, and the next thing I need to do is go to the signals for dojis, right? That option there, I need to hit no signal. So when we do that, we can see whenever there's a doji, there's no output from the bar direction solver, right? No output on the doji, because technically dojis don't have a bar direction. However, there is an exception here. So for something like range bars, if you have a gravestone or a dragonfly, candlestick, then those can produce an output. So if we turn that off, that's one way there. And so if we connect that in, so now we can see that when there is a doji, and we mark this one as well, right? There's no output on these dojis anymore. But at the same time, the problem with using the bar direction is, look, there's some of these bars, right, where there is no output at all, so maybe the bar direction might interfere with your signals, because the bar direction, let's see here, here. So an example, the problem with the bar direction is, right, the MACD is above the 0 line, so it's giving a long output, but these down bars, right, these down bars are generating a short output, right? So if we look at the bar direction solver, right, so the bar direction solver is generating a short output, right? There's no long output. So if you use the bar direction, then if there's a down bar, then it might interfere with a legitimate long signal. So the bar direction is one way, one possible way. And actually, no, you know what? Yeah, let's just do this. There you go. I'm going to use the long short modifier, and actually I'm going to fix this problem right now. I actually was going to use a comparison solver to show you another way, but I just kind of realized using the long short modifier from the function nodes, is actually the quickest way and the easiest way to solve this. So let's see, we want to use addition. Yeah. There. All right, so the result node, right, it's connected to the long short modifier. And so now we can see that we're getting a long and a short output on all the bars, right? And so only the dojis are missing an output. So basically that solves our problem. This is a universal solution right here. So this would be a completely universal solution. Take a bar direction solver, set the signals for dojis, to no signals, and then the long short modifier, you want to use the addition mode there. So that way we're getting a long and a short output. And so now, if I connect that in, there we go. That fixes our problem universally. So now we can see only the dojis are missing an output there. Nicholas does have a question on this. He says, can you go over what the addition does? Yeah, actually, Nicholas, let me show you here. So you'll notice that the long short modifier, it's got a lot of different modes here. A lot of different modes. Most of them are basically kind of mathematical, but the bottom line is all these modes are just different ways of manipulating the input signals, right? So obviously, right, you'll take a solver or maybe, an AND node and connect it into the input of the addition. So there's a lot of modes here. So really, Nicholas, what you should do is, I'm going to go to help and go to the documentation, and there is a video on the long short modifier. All right, so there we go. So it's going to take you to the BloodHound Getting Started guide, and so we can see BloodHound right on the side menu. So if you scroll down, there you go. Right here's the function nodes, and then there's the long short modifier right there. So just click on that. So here's the long short modifier page, and so if you like to kind of read a description, you can open up under options under mode. Here's a description of all the different operating modes, right? So there's a description of that's average. There's the addition, but more importantly, there's a training video right here, right? So here's a training video on that function node itself. So you can watch that training video as well. Oh, yeah, so it looks like, this second video was done so long ago, I don't remember exactly what's going on here, but I think this video down here is just kind of covering a bunch of the different function nodes in general here. But this first one is going to be specifically for the long short modifier there. All right, so there you go, Nicholas.